Mighty K TV, it is possible. Tune in to Mighty K Online.
It was unbelievable. But let me say that for Sene East, for example, this is my 6th time of visiting the constituency. So I've built a relationship with the constituency since 2008 and 2012. Coming down, I've been to the constituency 6 times. So there is a closeness that I have with the constituency. The women were very, very excited, and I was so excited for them as well. And I think some of the messages that dealt with some of their issues were well received.
You have themed this round of trip, Our Journey Together. How do you mean by Our Journey Together?
Well, I think that we have to move everybody together. I'm a person who, in terms of policy, thinks of inclusion. I think that, everybody has to be part. You can't leave people, out of the journey. If you're going on a journey and you want to take Ghana on a transformative journey, so you cannot leave people behind. You cannot leave the youth out. You cannot leave the women out. You cannot leave the old out. We want everybody to be together so that we move in unison towards the transformative process that we are embarked on.
Excellency, all the best on this journey.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mighty K TV, it is possible.
All NPP, true NPP people will vote for us. But then, I don't think we'll make the 50% plus 1 vote to win at one church. This is why we need to stay together so that it will be attractive to draw other people to join us to go beyond the absolute majority. So anybody who is always full of tension and fighting and that sort of thing, we have to be careful about. The party must stay together. Then, when we've seen such a person, we must also look and see when we present this person to the rest of the country, all of Ghana, he must be the type most people will look at and say, this man, when we sleep on him, we will sleep. He's a good person. We'll work with him. That's how to get the majority, to secure the majority. So, among the candidates or aspirants coming, listen to everybody. Please, it's not the money they will bring around. If they call you, give you 10 million, and you think because of that you're going. And when you want to catch a chicken, what do? You give corn. But then that corn might lead to his death. So it's not money. So the candidate that will come is not the money. Listen, ask questions, see how the mind works, look at its nature, and see whether the party will lead us all together like one family, and then after the party, the nation, the majority of the nation will accept this person for leader. The third thing you must again look for, whether when the power is given to this person to lead us, is the type with the experience and with all due respect, the wisdom to be able to keep the country united, to secure the nation, to gain the respect of the forces, the military, the police, the chiefs. Look out for that. We are democratic. We uphold common humanity. So, and democracy really doesn't go in for tribe or religion or gender. It's the individual. One man, one vote. And if we want power, we want to present a person who would be convincing to the generality of the electorate. Can this man we are presenting help solve problems for the community at large, so the benefit spreads across the board for all? We look at that this way. If we tell the truth to ourselves, we may see that the way we've been brushed by our opponents from way back. Oh, you are a tribal party. Oh, these days we are including even religion. You do that, and it comes from our mouth, then I tell you, we are perpetuating Kukrudu. What we should be doing to get out of the, we are in a rut, a chasm, a deep. We are democratic. We uphold common humanity. So, and democracy really doesn't go in for tribe or religion or gender. It's the individual. One man, one vote. And if we want power, we want to present a person who would be convincing to the generality of the electorate. Can this man we are presenting help solve problems for the community?
Mr. Bawumia, you are representing the African continent. So my question is, how is the weaponization of trade affecting the African economies, particularly Ghana, and what strategies are being considered to strengthen the economic resilience of the African continent?
Thank you very much. I don't know if everyone can hear me. Let's put this in a broader context. I think that one of the things that policymakers are doing recently is a failure to understand the lessons of history as well as the lessons of economics. There are surely trade imbalances. If you look at the share of global trade in terms of exports and imports, Africa has about 2.5% of global exports, has 2.9% of global imports. Asia has 43% of global exports and 38% of global imports. China, 15% of exports, 10% of imports. Europe, you have 38% of exports and 51% of imports. America, 8% of exports and 14% of imports. So there are clearly trade imbalances across the various continents and countries. But what we know from economics is that you cannot fix a trade deficit with tariffs. It just doesn't work. I mean, if you look at the national income identity, where you say that your income is equal to your consumption, investment, government spending plus exports minus imports, that breaks down into a simple equation, which is a truism, that your deficit, the exports minus your imports, would necessarily have to equal the difference between your savings and investment. So for any country
which spends more than it saves, you're going to get a trade deficit. The deficit is a macroeconomic problem. It's not a trade policy issue. And you cannot solve that macroeconomic problem with trade policy like tariffs. So you go back, to the Smoot-Hawley Acts of the 1930s, where they put 20% tariffs. You had a Great Depression. And that is what happened recently with China and the US, 2018, 2019. Again, we had the impact, which was negative for global trade. What the US has done recently is increase the average tariff rate from about 2.4% to 10%. This is the largest increase in tariffs since 1943. And the impact will not be small. It will not be insignificant. Thankfully for Africa, our exports to the United States is about 6.5%. And our imports from the United States is about 4.4%. So we are not as exposed in the broader sense as many other places. But within that context, countries like Lesotho, which have exports in terms of textile exports to the United States, it's about 50% of their exports. And they are benefiting from the African Growth and Opportunities Act, which is AGOA. And these countries are going to be affected very significantly. When you have 50% of your exports, and AGOA is basically going to collapse under these tariffs. So what you're going to see in Africa, as you're seeing across the world, there's going to be more of a clamor and for self-reliance. And you're going to see a bit more of political space for countries to have more intra-African trade as a way of dealing with this. Currently, our intra-African trade is between 17 and 20%. But I think that as you see a more real look at supply chains within the continent and globally, you're going to see, as you see in Europe, there's an increase in the sense that, there's been a decoupling of the US-European relationship. And Europe is going to look at its supply chains again, as every other player in this world is going to do. And so Africa is going to look at our supply chains again as a way of looking at it. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that the macro balances are the ones guiding your trade policy and not tariffs. The tariff rates are not the ones that actually determine the effectiveness of your deficit outcomes.
Mr. Bawumia, I'd like to come back to you and also address China and its role in the African continent. As we know, the role of China in Africa is growing. Do you see African countries deepening trade ties with China in response to rising global protectionism, or are we more likely to see some sort of push for diversification, including partnerships with Europe and possibly other regions as well?
Thank you very much. I think that if you look at what has happened, the whole rules-based order has been disrupted. And there has been a lot of, and there is ongoing, a lot of realignment. I mean, old allies are no longer being seen as allies. And so what has been injected in the whole system is uncertainty and the lack of predictability. And so partnerships are no longer as straightforward as they used to be. China has a major trade participation in Africa. In Ghana, for example, China is our largest trading partner as well as our largest foreign investor. And it is the same for many countries. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. But African countries are going to look at what works for them and diversify accordingly, because the rules-based order, as I said, is something that no longer really exists at the moment, and we have to work back towards that. But as I said, for us on the continent, there has to be a major play for self-reliance in a lot of ways, so that it's not necessarily China or America or Europe, but you've got to really look at your own internal economic dynamics and bring in more value addition to our raw materials, so that you can create jobs for the youth. And so the issue is not east or west, or it's just going forward with Africa for us. Yeah.
With this, I have a closing question to all of the panelists. In 4 years, what would be more important, tariffs or trust? I'm asking about trust because trust is important in politics, in trade, everywhere. So what's your take on it?
For me, I think that trust is going to be more important than tariffs. Tariffs are not going to be sustainable, and we will soon all find out that it's a rush to the lowest common denominator. I think that the evidence that we have over history shows that tariffs don't work. But what we don't have now is trust. I mean, people talk about mutually assured destruction for nuclear powers, but today what you have is mutually assured suspicions across the countries, because Europe is very suspicious of Russia, the US is very suspicious of China, Australia is very suspicious of China. Now, when you have to negotiate trade agreements of security threats at the background, the efficiency with which you will negotiate them will be compromised, because you are thinking security. And if I agree that, okay, I'll take off these barriers, maybe I might compromise my security. And so we need, at a diplomatic level, to address why is this suspicion. Can we deal with this suspicion between the major powers? And I think that if you don't deal with this, you will have suboptimal trade policies in the end, because they are really a cover for dealing with the security issues.
Thank you.
So trust becomes fundamental.
Ene chahuru eti yantai kufuachi na yanfano nko kufuanya 39% 1996 wanru 40% mpo na ebinum se dabe na obedru 40 na obekọ 42 ebekọ 45 ebekọ 48 ebedru 50 go and find us enya sa na omoka he eni ase da bi yanko find us bia ase de our textbook mu ya de kofo abekọ ya de kofo call 2000 no Wanu ane ya say akonfo ahye nkom kura say ontimi di president dan ya call 2000 kofo wanwene akira say ojunsogu fa akwa yadan etwa horo the politics consistency ayadan ehia saa nene omasori wa Bawumia so ya say de Bawumia kwa anyeye wakoba akwa anyeye yade ne kobie wa anyeye me kasa nyame animonyam awa asori fi ha yade Bawumia beko obedi nkunim ama MPP so asako na nibi na sabe mprediasa emabru na to aba ne kase obaburu bia so nyini na ope party bia don a ope party ho ya akono na party ho ya akono a ope so akono kane ne yase MPP ya crash for party ti uba no ko secondary school na obewia na ope party ayede adwan ne ope so ko MPP na ya say ya crash for party no onko dan sorry da kro na won tra TV ho a MPP panyini a sika won nsam wayamra sebedafo at TV so say MPP for there ya Jimmy for eche obi a party na ho ba na kono yani ya say party no e number bi a efi at ma party ni vote ya den akọ fam I was say yetimi kan kura kire nipa ya mabru ni ya party ni mu nanso ya mpanimfo ni bi oman no asai party no anu na say yetimi ka kire ya ho na ya ngas ya so nipa bi so omo kan kura ana omo ya bold ana omo ya honest obi ani ha o ya honest ache Yesu Kristo anso nye nsama wo wiase nyina ana Yesu ba ya o ya den obekae etimi sramo sir Mama Yanina, I am far Kumaba, Kuntai Bawumia. Na yankoto aba ne magana fo hunu se ye nyina ye de akoma ye den attire presidential candidate nachi na Ghana fo nso ebedi yachi no makoto aba e de amaba omia amankonimudie aba
government ye juma no na 2012 ebedu e na akofo ado sanbae o se me jai juma no mu brief na me beboa na me nye na bedi kire na me boss president of African Development Bank Osre mi sema mi jai juma. Ofre president before said on the kasa say mami jai juma. On the night being country say NDC for maye win election. Inti min kaho na ye juma. Na me country almost say since party ni hiya me mwade minti min kasa me befie. Inti me resign here e African Development Bank. Ena me samba Ghana ebe ye juma ebe ye abedi. Your call election, no money in said your call. Uncle Yama, NDC for Omuviego. And into the call Supreme Court, Samokai, you and I were not there. On the surface of the pink sheet. Yeah. Analysis in our year. And me kind team, head of the team. Yeah, pink sheet analysis. The year, now if you feel we are the call. Akotana adaka no mo obi am pese oko and omo bisa me say una we here pink sheet work no and you oko na ko defend the my na me ka say me ko e ko defend me chire mo ma Ghana fo nyina omo nyina be gidi say ye win election that atogba no amo afa mai ye sa court case no me ka say me ko bibia bi me be ka Ghana Etna Ghana Naya year campaign for 2016. What I share lectures from campus to campus to campus. That be more lectures and Ghana for who said it Bibia Echo. Sambreno with the pressure power into Ego NDC for. We country and an alcohol for to say young plan for 2016 because we share 2008 and 2012 na NDC omo attack ni nyina ego na akofo omo didi na tem de bia omo twantro gono so omo kankasa efi time efano all the time omo propaganda na ego na akofo it be country na akofo say 2016 election year jai Mahamudu na no enko boot for boot enti ena yefa sa plan the share say John Mahama, you are incompetent. Hey, and the boy fool. Now I'm very competent. The bufu and also can't be trained. This will be can't be trained. Now can't be trained. Can't be. Yeah, can't be each other son and now for the factory or share go. And then we need 2016 election. The year.
So we don't play. Was your question on your boy? Sure. Dankwa Bubusia tradition. Dankwa Aba Akufo-Addo obedi 8 years. Busia so aba Akufo no aba ebedi aka Dombo oy. Dombo will be represented by Bawumia. Yes. After me teach am no, ya kwagina ni ebua, ya de any the whole plane. Ezo was mo kan you want me adwen.
In the afternoon now the Bawumia na eba obi ape won
Now we'll be a plan
on Sempa F.
No, that's my case.
I will come and focus on Boasha.
The UN can show him Otiasia. But see, I'm quite genuine. Now don't go to Bobusiano unless we don't believe in that. So if MPP believes in the Dankwa Dom Bobusia tradition, yeah.
On Sempa FM.
Shahubrasia Dombo or the 2 million Busia. Yeah, party near your best says the 2 votes, 2 CTP, Labour Parliament, and not the NPP or Bar Parliament. Ahubrasianti was a Busia J leader of the opposition. Dombo needs to be represented.
The man with number 7. I didn't know I can say on the 7th of October. Well, I just say October was when another tosso and song and ya wo Bawumia Ghana abako semono Bawumia any vice president otoso and song na general election ɛtɔ so nson in the 4th republic a yɛto aba no ɛna Bawumia bɛyɛ vice president a ɔtɔɔ so nson nti saa post na ɛwɔ Peace FM online no ebisa sɛ nti anya bia January ne da ɛtɔ so nson 2029 no yɛto aba na Bawumia bɛba bɛyɛ ɔmampani a ɛtɔ so nson ɛwɔ 4th republic abatoa yɛbɛto no December 7th na ɛna ɔno ankasa ne din Bawumia no so no wokan letters a ɛwɔ mu no a letters no ɛyɛ 7 interesting this is
Kukurudu na uhwe party media ejuma me ye wo party mu me by the last 16 years me de me ho abo afore ama party 208 na me wo Bank of Ghana na me ye omo penyi governor no Abedi Chiri penyi no Abedi Chiri deputy governor of Bank of Ghana ena na Akufo-Addo befre me o se mimbeye na Abedi Chiri Samre no na president Akufo ebedi 8 years na nipa bebre cast kire me say mami njai me ejuma no na mimbeye running mate o say no party are breaking 8 no enti me ba yendi nkunim but me kanchire o say president Akufo ena appointing me deputy governor enti MPP here say meba abeboa na yenya letimi di nkunima mentimi nkase member enti me resigning me job ewo Bank of Ghana and be ye running mate of the MPP me ba ye yendi nkunim so me hwehwe ejuma foforo me benya ejuma ewo African Development Bank omo me ko Zimbabwe se me nkoye omo penyi ewo Zimbabwe we was Zimbabwe and a 2012 beduye and an Akufo-Addo sambaye or say minjai na membrefi na mimbeye na Abedi Chiribium for 2012 election. Ye president of African Development Bank or Pamicho or say maminjai jumano or Fre President Akufo se onemin kasa se maminjai jumano and Bagana bium but me kanchiro mo say since a party no ehia me se membra mbeboa de mentimi nka se member me resign here and me samba here and me be here ejuma as running mate ye ba here munyina anim se NDC for omuko wie mo ewo 2012 eninti ye ndi nkunim so ye call Supreme Court semokai you and I were not there. Mina mekodi adansi Emma party no star witness. Mina me ye pink sheet no so me lead team no na ye pink sheet no ejuma no me call Supreme Court eko di adansi eko defendi party no pa. Yang di nkunim but ye chire Ghana fo nyina say ye na ye wini 2012 election no. Ye wiye misimu mikase minko baby abium metna Ghana na ma bo campaign no me call lecture after lecture after lecture me the pressure egu MP.
Mighty K TV. It is possible. Tune in to Mighty K Online.